So we have undergone some changes. So this is my 2017 Africa Twin, and I am loving it. Picked up this bike about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and after exhaustively researching adventure bikes, had made the decision that adventure bikes were the way I wanted to go. Then took a long time to settle on which bike I wanted, because the adventure bike market is deep and thick with choices. But I wanted something that I could do heavy miles in. And I wanted something that was capable of off-road. And what it came down to is figuring that about 70% of my time will be on-road and about 30% will be off-road. I had basically narrowed it down to the Tenere 700, the Africa Twin, or the GS 1200 or 1250. I actually had deals negotiated on each of these bikes that had them in a price point that was good for me. But at the end of the day, opted for the Africa Twin, decided on the Africa Twin. The GS 1200 is a fantastic bike. That was a close second. But I think the reason I took the Africa Twin over the GS is the weight. What it comes down to is that a GS 1200 is a road bike that can do dirt, and the Africa Twin is a dirt bike that can do road. And as a person who doesn't have extensive experience riding off-road, other than the experience I've gained since getting the bike, I came to understand that weight can work against you and weight can work for you, but as a new rider it's more likely to work against you, and hence the Africa Twin. No regrets. I'm loving this bike. It has a completely different feel from anything else that I've ever had, and I've had them all. Harleys to Gold Wings to sport bikes. But I am loving the Africa Twin, everything about it. I did replace the tires on it. It had, when I bought it, it had the factory tires, which the bike only had 8,400 miles on it. I've put about 300 or 400 on it since then. And the stock tires had a reputation for not being great. So I went with the Mitas EO7s, which are kind of a 50-50 on-road, off-road tire, knobbier than the stock tires. I've been liking them. They're nice and quiet, they're well-mannered on-road, and in the handful of experience I've had off-road, which has mostly been sand, they have, not that I have anything to compare them to, but I felt like I was getting traction where I needed it. Again, that's with a novice rider, novice on off-road, and a very capable bike. So all that's left to do is crush miles. I bought the GoPro Hero 12 also, and with the Cardo Pack Talk Neo, I was excited about the fact that I would be able to wirelessly connect the GoPro to the Bluetooth headset. However, the Sena does such a good job of filtering out sound that the sound was actually too clean. I mean, you couldn't hear anything. It sounded like a guy, it sounded like a voiceover, like a guy sitting on his couch. So I didn't like it very much, and I went back to the lavalier mic inside of the helmet setup. I just feel like this is richer. It picks up more ambient noise. And I just kind of came to like the sound of the lavaliered mic better than I do the sound through the Cardo Pack Talk Neo. I think you need a little bit of ambient sound. You need to be able to hear the bike. You need to be able to hear maybe a little bit of wind noise. And the voice, when it sounds like you're in a studio, sort of creates a disconnect to the motorcycle. So I'm liking this better. Went back to this setup. Now the only thing about this is that when I went to find my Movo mic, which is the one that I found I liked the best, the Movo lavalier, I had 3 of them, and I'm pretty sure I only ever bought 2 of them, which means one of them isn't the Movo. But what's also interesting about that is that Movo does not in any way mark their microphones, so I don't know which one is the Movo and which one isn't. So one of the purposes of this ride is to test the mic. If the sound is crappy, I probably got the non-Movo mic. If the sound is great, then I know I picked the right one. I won't know till I get home and listen to it. So pardon me if I'm babbling a bit, because this video is more of an audio test than anything else. I forgot to disable or unpair the GoPro to the headset. So there's a chance that the Bluetooth is overriding the lavalier mic. Again, I won't know that until I try it. What I do know is that I'm having fun. What I do know is that being out here is what it's all about. Cricket just got her first bike about a week after I got this one. She passed her MSF course, got her motorcycle license, and we bought her a little Royal Enfield Meteor 350, which is really a nice little bike. Perfect for her, not too big, not too small. She fits on it like a glove. She went to register it, unfortunately, on Friday, and the guy she bought it from, when he started signing over the title, filled his name out in the wrong place and scribbled it out, which was a huge mistake. So the DMV, Volusia County DMV, would not accept it without the guy signing an affidavit. So we're having to wait for that now. The guy asked her to sign and return an affidavit, which she has to bring the motor vehicle so they can then go ahead and title it to her. We did, however, take it up our street. I live on a cul-de-sac, and the cul-de-sac is on a little bit of a hill. She did have a little problem making the U-turn up at the top of the street and did drop the bike once today. She was very upset about that. But know, drop bikes are all a part of learning, and nothing that a little touch-up paint on the crash bar couldn't fix. So she's just got to learn to build up a little bit of confidence. But she actually did well. Good friction control, good turning of her head. She just has to learn to be a little bit more confident. But her mechanics were pretty good. She dropped the bike because as she was walking it into the U-turn, which, you know, she was just duck walking a U-turn, but because of it's a little bit of a hill, when you come out of the friction zone and come in too much on the clutch, the bike has a tendency to want to roll back just a little bit or stall, and that panicked her, and she kind of let out the clutch too quickly, stalled the bike, and just kind of flopped over to her right. No big deal, it happens. Just part of learning how to ride. Give her a couple of weeks. We're going to get her out into some parking lots to start, and then we'll get her out onto some of the side streets, and she will be just fine. I look forward to being able to ride with her. It's going to be a lot of fun. Someday she'll be right about here. Just love the handling of the Africa Twin. Can really press it in on the turns. She just feels so well planted. The Harley guys are friendly today, waving. I like that. I ride them all. I have a Harley, I have a Goldwing, I have a Africa Twin. A bike is a bike. This whole bullshit about what kind of bike you ride, what kind of crowd you're in, and I know every type of bike has its own little culture. For example, you will notice I am in a mesh jacket. That's because ADV guys gear up all the time. So as an ADV guy, if you're with a group of ADV riders and you are in a t-shirt, you're going to stick out in the same way that if I were wearing full gear and a full-faced helmet on my Road King right now, I would stick out. It's unfortunate, honestly. I mean, it really shouldn't be that way, but it is. It just is. I think the only motorcycle culture where you truly see both is sport bikes, because in sport bikes you have your squids that ride around in flip-flops and tank tops, and you have your guys that'll get fully geared up. And you'll see them in about equal numbers. I also find that for whatever reason, and I you know, adventure bikes are more popular in Europe than they are in the United States, although they are quickly gaining popularity in the US. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the GS 1200 is the most popular bike in England. And for whatever reason, people in England also tend to wear more gear than Americans do. Does that make them smarter? Well, I guess that's a subject for discussion. I guess that's subjective. But when you think about it, when you think about what's on the line every time you kick a leg over one of these bikes, I think you can make that argument that they are smarter to be geared up all the time. 。 think of all the bike cultures, the Harley guys worry most about what other bikers, particularly what other Harley riders are going to think of them. You know, you don't want to not be cool to your Harley buddies. And again, I have nothing against anybody who rides a bike. I appreciate anybody on two wheels. Whether you're riding a scooter or whether you're riding a GS 1250. I appreciate anybody who's out here. We all face the same things. We all deal with the risk. We all deal with the stupidity of people in cages. We all deal with the weather. So to get caught up on what you're riding, to me, is just ridiculous. But there are a lot of guys that are that way. It's Harley or nothing. Harley, brother. Yeah, brother. Hey, brother. We've all seen the meme. Well, it's true. If we would stop focusing on what kind of bike we ride and just focus on the fact that we're all brothers out here in some way. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all in this together. Any rider who sees another rider down, another rider hurt, you know, we feel that. We relate to that. We've all lost friends. We've all lost loved ones. We've all had our own share of close calls if we've been riding long enough. So while each type of bike, cruiser, adventure, sport, well, they all do have different cultures. I think it doesn't all have to be lost. You know, we could still have respect for each other. We could still admire the fact that we're out here, look out for one another, and that sort of thing. That's just my 2 cents. Maybe I'm just rambling. If I am, I apologize. But that's how I see it. You know, Cricket's little Royal Enfield is a little cruiser, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of Harley guys that'll be willing to look down their nose at it because it's not a Harley, it's not a Sportster. Harley doesn't really make an equivalent to the Royal Enfield Meteor 350. I guess their Street 500 would be the closest. But the Street 500 is a bigger bike than the Meteor 350. It's a bigger, heavier bike. God, I love being able to make these turns like this. Cannot do this with the Gull Wing. I guess you could, but you'd be pushing. With this bike, it just feels like you could give so much more if you wanted to. It just kind of dives right into the turns. Really solid, balanced feel to it. Well, beautiful ride. Coming around that lake is one of my favorites. But again, the purpose of this ride was mostly to test the audio and to test the camera settings. I have it in super wide right now. Don't know if I might like something a little bit cropped in a little bit tighter. But with all this new stuff, this is all part of the experiment. This stock exhaust has just a little bit of a rumble to it. A little bit of a pop and rumble, which make it really sound good. That sky is getting awfully ugly. I have a feeling we got some weather coming our way. But we did beat the rain. At least it appears we beat the rain. We're not home yet. But it's in our favor, for sure. It's just a fun bike to ride, it really is. Gotta find a better place to put my garage. Wow, that sky is really getting ugly. Gotta find a better place to put my garage door opener because I gotta keep going in here. I'm always afraid I'm gonna drop my registration. Let's get her put away. Let's get her in the garage. Makes for a tight turn in here with Cricket's bike. There's her little Enfield. Really makes for a tight turn though. Get off the bike to push it in because this bike faces out. So let's see if I can do this with my helmet on. There's the Thunder. Let's see if I can do this with my helmet on. Put our kickstand up and we're just gonna push back, cut the wheel sharp. I'm always afraid I'm gonna drop it one day, and I'm sure I will, but all about overcoming fear, right? That was perfect. That was a one-shot deal. All right. Ooh, look at that. Like a glove. Of course, I'm all out of breath now. Let's go eat.